Hey there folks, I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and we got Miley, Shakira, all sorts of drama, and it's Billboard BREAKDOwn.
I don't remember.
I have been reflecting on how much activity makes for a good week on the Hot 100, or at least a good episode of the show. And I'm not sure what it says that I saw this week with notable changes in the top 10, healthy list of new arrivals, and I thought, yeah, you know what, looks normal, at least to me. Now this, for the record, covers that tracking week that has led some folks to say 2023 is starting off faster than last year. Still not really sure I agree, given how it's felt like all the discourse around these new arrivals has ebbed away remarkably quickly. But hey, time will tell on the turbulence, right? Now anyway, our top 10, where we got the first major news. Debuting at number 1, Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Now, putting aside any thoughts I have on the song, we'll get to them. Credit to Miley's team that kind of nailed this rollout. Dominant on sales and streaming with a well-timed video, plus pushing this hard on the radio, it gets her a second number 1 hit nearly a decade after Wrecking Ball. It also blocked Kill Bill by SZA at number 2 from seizing that spot, as she got handily beaten across the board. Now, granted, I trust her streaming viability and she's finally got the radio behind her, but it still might be a tough margin to chase down. And it knocked back Antihero by Taylor Swift to number 3. Dominant on the radio, sure, but it's probably peaked there, and streaming and sales are starting to fall off. And I do think that opens up a door for Creepin' by Metro Boomin, 21 Savage, and The Weeknd up to number 4. The streaming is solid, the radio growth is robust. It could very easily close that margin. It overtakes Unholy by Sam Smith and Kim Petras down to number 5, but that's starting to fall off gradually across the board, unfortunately opening things up for I'm Good Blue by David Guetta and BB Rexa at number 6, where the radio is still on the rise, thankfully with nothing else behind it. Now, right behind that is Die For You by The Weeknd at number 7, also running just for the most part on radio, which isn't something I'd really say for Rich Flex by Drake and 21 Savage at number 8. Radio growth is there, but it's slower, and more to compensate for streaming that's taken a dip. Once again, not fast enough. But then we got a second top 10 debut, and one that did kind of surprise me a bit. Bzrp Music Sessions Volume 53 by Bizarrap and Shakira at number 9. We'll get into what this is much later on, but frankly, ridiculous sales and streaming smashed this in. And honestly, I don't quite expect it to be around for the next week. These sort of things fall off. Finally, As It Was by Harry Styles is back at number 10. It's just on the downswing everywhere, just a matter of time before it rotates out. Speaking of which, our losers and dropouts, where we definitely saw some bigger tracks make their exit. A couple leftovers from album bombs, like from Drake and 21 Savage with On BS and Pussy and Millions with Travis Scott, as well as Bejeweled by Taylor Swift, but also some bigger songs like Hold Me Closer by Elton John and Britney Spears, Fall in Love by Bailey Zimmerman, and Son of a Sinner by Jelly Roll. Now, the losers list is actually pretty reasonable. A few leftovers from SZA with Used at 93 and Special at 95, and from Metro Boomin with Too Many Nights with Future and Don Toliver. Then you see the continued losses to Down Home by Jimmy Allen to 86, and the evaporation of all the gains for Half of Me by Thomas Rhett and Riley Green to 73, and then a couple big drops for Star Walkin' by Lil Nas X to 65, and Lift Me Up by Rihanna to 39. I guess radio moved off faster than I expected there. Now on to our returns and gains. Well, okay, the one return, as Shakira and Ozuna brought back Monotonia back to 83, I'm guessing as a peripheral to the Bizarrap session, but I'm a little bit surprised by the gains here. Snooze by SZA caught a sharp boost to 32 thanks to a big streaming spike. We're still seeing continued gains for Players by Coi Leray at 54, and Here With Me by David at 66. I'm kind of shocked folks are getting on board. And off the debut, Ditto by NewJeans rose up to 85. That's probably the most significant one here. Normally K-pop songs fall off after a week or so seeing this one get even a little bit of traction, that's going to be something to watch. But now on to those new arrivals. And unfortunately, we're starting with number 100, King Snipe by Gucci Mane and Kodak Black.
On point like I'm a dot. I swap me a body for a swap. Put a bag right on his top. I got murder all in my eyes. You see it, it's torture in my heart.
So here's something well, not interesting, but very revealing about this single from Gucci Mane's upcoming album. It's basically just a Kodak Black song, as he's got 2 verses and the hook, with Gucci Mane only contributing 1, but Gucci's the only thing that's remotely tolerable about this, so I think he wins out. I get why he has the lead credit. So serious question, why the hell are we still giving Kodak Black any runway? Because he's god-awful on this, even more so than usual. His first verse sounds sloppy as hell, with the implied threat that if someone raises their voice in his house, he will shoot them, and because he didn't have a dad, he's gotta get off his own dick, he's jacked. I mean, absent fatherhood works so well for the masturbation joke. His hook doesn't have any punch to it beyond saying that he likes to torture people, and acknowledging that his girl is cheating on him, but he doesn't care to find out with who or why. And on the third verse, he drowns himself in auto-tune to sound like Future. Charming. What I find most notable is that outside of the bargain barrel fake strings and the sterile trap percussion, Gucci Mane's now in full elder statesman mode and actually sounds a bit more intimidating, avoiding the murder talk. I mean, you think after Kodak's faux redemption arc last year, he could get the hint. Because this is lousy. Skip it. Number 98, Heart to Heart by DeMarco?
Heart to heart.
Wait, what? What the hell is DeMarco doing on the Hot 100? For those of you who don't know, DeMarco has been a reasonably well-received stoner, slacker, singer-songwriter in the indie scene, who I reviewed once back in 2014, but honestly just wasn't really my thing. I knew he was building up a fan base. Hell, he dropped an instrumental album just last week, but this is not from that. No, this is from his 2019 album, Here Comes the Cowboy, because it went viral on TikTok. I'm not sure if it's connected with how this song's a sober, slow burn tribute to Mac Miller. Wouldn't surprise me. And, okay, yeah, it's not bad, but like with so much of Mac Miller and DeMarco, doesn't really click. It's tough to pin down why. The writing is simple but effective. DeMarco's mournful delivery fits opposite the spare, drippy mix with the prominent bass line. But then you get these flat, minor key synth words that don't fit in with the already minor key progressions in the lead melody. It creates this odd tonal clash, and yeah, it feels intentional, but it doesn't hit the way that it should for me. I mean, I guess everyone grieves in their own way. Again, I do not think this is bad. But for me, let's just move on. Number 94, Human by Cody Johnson.
If I don't know what I'm doing, I'm still learning to be human.
I was a bit concerned that after Till You Can't, Cody Johnson might have a tough time following up that momentum. Nashville loves to give acts with established fan bases outside their industry one minor hit before ignoring them into the dirt. But turns out we get a second one here from his 2021 double album. And I actually think I like this more. It's tastefully warm and acoustic with plenty of pedal steel and fiddle as Cody Johnson leans on a lot of Texas country. But I think it's the lyrics that really do it for me, where he could play into a lot of hard-living cowboy swagger, but with this person now in his life, he's trying to be more expressive and empathetic, with the open admittance that he's gonna screw up the relationship, but he's trying to be better. It's a really well-presented sentiment, and when you realize that Cody Johnson's also intending the track as meta commentary about making this sort of music instead of just open sloganeering to fit Music Row, yeah, I like that too. It shows some real growth and maturity, it feels well rooted, and it's a damn good song. Hope it catches on. Number 91, OMG by NewJeans.
Oh my God, turn the booty, yeah, asking all the time about what I should do.
Alright, last NewJeans song really caught me off guard with the understated sound and the approach in K-pop. I was definitely intrigued to see that next step, especially as some have said this is even better. I think I disagree with that. It feels more conventional in the flashy synths, the clanking trap percussion, where the arrangement feels distractingly busy this time around, before a lot of metallic pitch-shifted voices get shoved in before the bridge. And even if I still like the vocal harmonies, the song just feels considerably clunkier, even if it's just a pretty simple, over-the-moon teenage love song. Now granted, a lot of the reasons I like Ditto was because it felt so different than a lot of K-pop, so I get why more folks who will like K-pop like this more. I don't know, it's not bad. I don't really see it sticking for me. Next, number 76, Vibe by TAEYANG featuring Jimin. actually sticking with K-pop for a little longer, and this one requires some context. For those of you who don't know, the lead artist TAEYANG is part of the group Big Bang, but he's actually had a pretty active solo career since 2008. For context, he's only 2 years older than me. He's been putting out records since he was a teenager. Now, this is his first solo song since 2018. He's teaming up with Jimin of BTS, and yeah, this is interesting. I'll give him that. It starts off as a smoother, liquid R&B inflected cut with the 90s chime flutter, but then that heavy bass drops in with some flashy buzzes of synth and rollicking guitar and clattering percussion that almost reminds me more of New Jack Swing. I'm not sure it's a fusion that completely works. TAEYANG and Jimin have good chemistry, selling a pretty playful love song, but I feel like they're trying to work off of a better groove than what they have, which is kind of blocky. It affords a little bit more sinuous presence, could get a little looser. I'd like that. Granted, some of this might be a factor of the more modern triplet lyrical structure, and the more listens I gave to it, the more I can hear how it could work. I mean, I'm not sure I'm all the way there, but I will call this good. Check it out. Number 75, Nonsense by Sabrina Carpenter.
Thinking nonsense. Cartwheels in my stomach when you walk in. When you got your arms around me, oh, it feels so good. I had to jump the octave.
Okay, before we even get to the song itself, we need to talk about the idiocy around why it's even here. Because starting around the end of last year, Spotify was allowing labels to pay for placement on their Spotify radio service. It's not new, paying for a playlist spot has been the industry routine for years now, and this was actually something Spotify used to do in the mid-2010s, but in what is supposed to be a randomized selection of songs linked to a specific artist, this is just digital payola, outright. And it's also led to a bit of an industry shit show because certain labels began dumping a lot of money into this system to the disgruntlement of other labels, and it's created a headache for Billboard because the autoplay functionality distorts how one defines the split between the paid and the free streams. It's likely the main reason why the Hot 100 was so damn late this week. And guess whose management began pushing this strategy along with TikTok and a proper radio push after the song was released last July? Yep. I guess without Olivia Rodrigo drama, Sabrina Carpenter's team's got to pull out all the stops. And that's kind of disappointing because otherwise this is... okay, it's not good. A pretty flagrant early Ariana Grande ripoff with overly synthetic vocal layering, cheap-sounding percussion, and a liquid guitar pickup that honestly sounds closer to a pedal steel. But what annoys me here are the lyrics. I mean, it's another love song, but it's one looking to hone in on the awkward, clumsy feeling of being so in love that you can't think or talk straight. It's trying to be kind of cute and meta on how chunks of the lyrics don't even make sense. But Sabrina Carpenter keeps cramming in meta references, and it starts feeling, well, kind of calculated. It's a song about writing a song that references jumping an octave, and that she thinks is catchier than chickenpox, where by the outro, she outright admits how wacky the writing process becomes. And normally, I like songs that get meta, but this feels like she takes away from what could have been a sincere moment, a sort of ironic self-awareness that's a lot less playful or clever than she thinks it is. I mean, it feels just kind of really mediocre, and the bad business around it does not help. Let's hope it doesn't become a proper hit. Next, number 58, On What You On by Moneybagg Yo and GloRilla.
It is what it is, I'm on what you on.
Fuck my nigga, he ain't shit. Boy ain't good for number dick. Plodging like you wish your niggas. Pussy boy, you with that bitch.
This collab just seems incredibly obvious. They're both from Memphis, they got a similar bruising vibe with some rougher flows, and GloRilla's been stacking up the cosign, so why not the obvious one from her hometown? And they actually do more with this than I was expecting. Yeah, the production's kinda underwhelming with the piano loop and the brittle trap percussion, but the two of them actually have more interplay on both the hook and the verses as they complain about bad relationships. It feels like a proper team up. And it's actually kind of funny because both of them would probably be way better off single for as much cheating and open violence seems to be happening, but the sex is just that good. And I like that both of them recognize this is a real problem long term. If I have an issue, it's more that both rappers are kind of technically limited. There's some pretty obvious clumsiness, but outside of that, I mean, it might be a little trashy, but it's ultimately pretty good. I think I dig it. Number 9, Bzrp Music Sessions, Volume 53 by Bizarrap and Shakira. And speaking of a trashy situation, so last year football star Gerard Piqué cheated on Shakira, they separated. I'm not sure I can quantify how unbelievably dumb that is. It's Shakira, what's wrong with you? But it got really ugly. And in January of this year, Shakira went on the offensive, hopping on the newest Bizarrap music session. Now, it's actually been a little bit contentious in Latino communities. Bizarrap built his reputation platforming smaller acts getting their start, not megastar pop divas. It honestly kind of reminds me of how Drake uses SoundCloud to drop loosies or diss tracks, which is what this is. And it's got some teeth. Shakira plays vindictive but dismissive anger pretty effectively as she grapples with the split between close proximity to her in-laws, to the messy custody battle of trying to get the hell out of Spain and back to the US, all with the same lingering confusion that I have towards someone who dumped Shakira for a 22-year-old. And I like how much she references her music here, which did take a backseat while she was married and having kids because this guy seemed painfully insecure about it. Now, if I have issues, might actually come to the production. It feels a little bit dated with the club boom synths and the lockstep beat, where Bizarrap tries to switch it up a couple times and the clattering trap transitions are not as sharp as you would hope. I don't know, for as effective as a kiss-off as it is, cause again, it's Shakira, this sort of public drama doesn't always have a long shelf life. I could take or leave this song. Let's hope there's a Shakira album coming. All I'm gonna say. And finally, number 1, Flowers by Miley Cyrus.
Write my name in the sand. Talk to myself for hours. See things you don't understand.
And apparently we're not done with the public drama, because here's Miley now leaning into the subtext of this being about her ex-husband, Liam Hemsworth. And wait, hold on a second. Didn't they divorce back in 2019? That was a full album cycle ago. Are we seriously digging back to this now? I get still having baggage from a divorce, but leaning on that for the lead-off single feels a little weird to me. Now granted, this song feels lacking in ideas as a whole. The watery disco rollick with the very obvious I Will Survive interpolation as a post-breakup self-esteem song, with the most notable lyric being the reference to their house that literally burned down in 2018. But if you're gonna interpolate such a recognizable disco standard, you should bring some firepower to it, pardon the pun, and I don't think this gets there. The mix is kind of murky, the tempo's a bit too slow, but honestly, the larger problem might be Miley. To put it bluntly, she kind of sounds checked out. She's got that voice that's got such sharp, keening presence, makes her a natural fit for rock, but here she sounds almost bored, where it's almost like she's trying to convince herself that she can be on her own. And given how uneven Miley's music can be, I'm hoping this is a one-off dud as a single, and that it fades pretty fast, because I don't think it's very good. So yeah, kind of an awkward week. Kind of a damp note to end things on, but it is not the worst here. That's going to King Snipe by Gucci Mane and Kodak Black, and I think Nonsense by Sabrina Carpenter is getting the dishonorable mention. Now for the best, yeah, you know what? Human by Cody Johnson is going to run away with that, but I'm giving honorable mention to Vibe by TAEYANG and Jimin. I mean, call it a lingering fondness for New Jack Swing, but this kind of grew on me. I dig it. Next week, the fallout from all of this that could well be slower than expected. Stay tuned. But until then, I'm Mark. You're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse. And I'll see you next time.